Has someone you love started showing subtle but concerning changes over the past year? Perhaps they've been forgetting simple names, misplacing things around the house, or even withdrawing from social activities they once loved. What about you? Have you noticed small, almost unnoticeable signs in your own life? Did you know that these small, seemingly innocent changes could be the early warning signs of dementia? While it may seem like just part of aging, these could be red flags that something much more serious is developing. Could this have been prevented? Most people don't realize they're making these small mistakes until it's too late. Stay with me as we uncover the silent signs of dementia that you absolutely must not ignore. These are the signals that could save your life or that of someone you love. As we grow older, it's perfectly normal to forget things now and then. Maybe you forget where you placed your keys or mix up the names of your grandchildren, but dementia is something far more serious than this. Dementia doesn't just affect memory, it affects how a person thinks, behaves, and interacts with others. According to the Alzheimer's Association, over 5 million people in the United States alone are currently living with Alzheimer's or another form of dementia, and the numbers are only rising. You may have even noticed these small changes in yourself, your friends, or your family members. Have you wondered why you sometimes forget a conversation you had just hours ago? Or why you find yourself getting confused over familiar tasks? Dementia can be insidious. It often starts with small, unnoticed signs that seem harmless at first, but as time passes, these symptoms become more pronounced and can significantly affect daily life. It's important to recognize these signs early, as it's crucial for early intervention. The sooner you catch them, the more you can do to slow down the progression of dementia. Today, we're going to talk about the 6 silent signs of dementia that you should never ignore. Early diagnosis can make a huge difference. It can help you understand what's happening and give you or your loved one a better chance at a better quality of life. If you've noticed any of these signs, it's time to take action before it's too late. 1. Forgetting recent events. The first silent sign of dementia is forgetting recent events. It's completely normal for anyone, especially as they age, to misplace their keys or have a moment of forgetfulness where a name escapes them. But what happens when you find yourself unable to remember a conversation you had just minutes ago? Or when you keep asking the same question over and over, even though the answer was given to you moments before? This can be a subtle yet alarming indicator of something more serious. Forgetting recent events goes beyond simple forgetfulness or distractions. It signals that your brain may be struggling to store or retrieve short-term memories, which is often one of the earliest signs of dementia. As the brain begins to decline, this problem can escalate. You may notice yourself forgetting things that happened just moments ago or forgetting why you walked into a room. You might find yourself asking the same question repeatedly, with no recollection of the answer you were given earlier. Take Joe, for example. Joe, an active and lively 74-year-old man, has always been very social and aware of his surroundings. However, over the past few months, his daughter has noticed a concerning trend. They had a conversation one morning about their plans for the weekend, but later that afternoon, Joe asked her the same question about those plans as if he had never heard the information before. This happens repeatedly, even though he had just been told the plans moments ago. His daughter initially thought it might just be a slip-up or moment of distraction, but it became more frequent and noticeable over time. She started to worry when he could not recall events from earlier in the day. Joe had no recollection of their earlier conversation and repeated the same question, each time thinking it was a new topic. This is not just forgetfulness. This is the brain's inability to form new memories or retain recent information. The reason for this is that dementia, particularly Alzheimer's disease, impacts the brain's ability to process and store new memories. The hippocampus, which is responsible for forming memories, is one of the first areas to be affected by dementia. As a result, the person may begin to forget names, faces, or even important details like appointments and daily routines. While forgetfulness is part of normal aging, the difference here is repetition. When short-term memory loss starts to interfere with daily life, when someone forgets something and asks the same question repeatedly, even when the answer is fresh, it becomes a red flag. It is no longer just a momentary lapse. This pattern of memory loss can seriously affect a person's ability to manage their daily routines, make plans, and engage with loved ones. So if you notice this sign in yourself or a loved one, it's important not to dismiss it. There are ways to manage it. Writing things down in a notebook or setting regular reminders can help keep things organized. Engaging in activities that stimulate the mind, such as reading, doing puzzles, or even picking up a new hobby, can help maintain cognitive function and memory. But the most crucial step is consulting a doctor. If short-term memory loss is becoming a pattern, it is important to seek medical advice. Early intervention is key, and a healthcare provider can assess the situation, conduct appropriate tests, and recommend treatments or strategies to manage the symptoms. Early diagnosis can make a significant difference in how dementia progresses, so don't ignore the signs, take action before it's too late. 2. Difficulty following conversations. The second silent sign of dementia is difficulty following conversations. Have you ever found yourself in the middle of a conversation and suddenly realized you were lost or confused? Maybe someone is telling you a story, and by the time they finish, you have no idea what they were talking about. Perhaps the words are clear, but you just can't connect the dots between what's being said. This can be a frustrating experience, especially when you know you should be able to keep up, but your mind feels like it's just not working in the same way as it used to. For those who are experiencing dementia, this confusion in conversations is often a result of the brain struggling to process and retain information in real time. This kind of cognitive impairment can make even simple conversations feel overwhelming, leading to feelings of frustration and isolation. Take Carol, for example. Carol was always known for her quick wit and engaging storytelling. Whether she was recounting a family event or simply sharing a funny anecdote, she was the life of the conversation with an uncanny ability to keep everyone engaged. But recently her family has started to notice some concerning changes. During family gatherings, Carol would smile and nod, but it became increasingly clear that she wasn't following the conversation. She'd laugh at jokes she didn't fully understand, and when someone asked her about the topic discussed moments earlier, she could barely recall any of the details. Her family tried to give her the benefit of the doubt at first, thinking she might just be distracted or tired, but as time went on, they noticed this pattern continuing more frequently. Carol seemed to be struggling not only with the current conversation, but also with remembering what had been said just a few moments ago. She was losing track of the flow of dialogue, and it seemed as though her brain couldn't keep up with the words being spoken. This kind of difficulty in following conversations is one of the hallmark signs of early dementia. The brain, especially the regions responsible for processing language and short-term memory, is beginning to decline. Dementia affects the brain's ability to retain and understand information as it is being received. For Carol, this meant that even though she could hear the words being spoken, she couldn't retain them long enough to understand or respond appropriately. So how can we help maintain cognitive function and prevent this from becoming worse? One of the most helpful steps is to encourage slow, clear communication. If you're engaging with someone who is having trouble keeping up with a conversation, try speaking slowly and breaking down complex ideas into smaller, simpler statements. Allow the person time to process the information. Don't rush them or interrupt. Give space for them to absorb and respond at their own pace. For people with dementia, consistency is key. Keep topics clear and stick to one subject at a time. If you jump between topics too quickly, it can confuse someone who is already struggling to keep track of the conversation. It's important to use simple language and ask direct questions to keep the person engaged. If you or a loved one is finding it increasingly difficult to follow conversations, it's a strong signal that something deeper might be happening. These signs should not be ignored. Consulting with a doctor is critical. A healthcare provider can assess the symptoms, conduct cognitive testing, and help determine whether dementia or another condition is affecting cognitive abilities. Early intervention can significantly improve the management of dementia. With the right tools and support, many of the effects of dementia can be mitigated, helping the individual maintain a higher quality of life for as long as possible. So if you're noticing these signs, don't hesitate to reach out to a healthcare professional. Early diagnosis is vital to ensuring that both the individual and their loved ones can take steps toward managing and understanding the condition. 3. Misplacing objects often. The third sign of dementia is misplacing objects in unusual places. It's normal to occasionally lose your keys or forget where you placed your glasses. Everyone does it from time to time, especially when juggling multiple tasks. However, what happens when you consistently find your belongings in the strangest, most unexpected places? Have you ever found your wallet in the freezer or your shoes in the bathroom? These types of occurrences might seem trivial at first, but they can be alarming if they become a regular pattern. When a person begins to misplace items like everyday objects, keys, glasses, or their wallet, there's a natural tendency to write it off as a momentary lapse or a symptom of being distracted. However, when these incidents start to happen more frequently, and with no recollection of how the objects ended up in unusual locations, it becomes a red flag. For someone dealing with dementia, the brain's ability to form connections or keep track of everyday actions begins to deteriorate. As a result, they can no longer remember where they put things or why they placed them in a specific spot. This kind of memory loss is more than just forgetfulness. It's an indication that cognitive functions are being affected. Take Carol, for example. Carol, who has always been an organized and meticulous person, recently started to experience this very problem. One afternoon, she was preparing dinner and decided to get a glass of water. After a few minutes, she went to grab her glasses but couldn't find them. After searching the kitchen and the living room, she was shocked to find them in the freezer. This wasn't just an isolated incident. She had mislaid her keys several times that week, even leaving them on top of the washing machine, which was something she would never do in the past. Carol was confused and embarrassed. These were items she had always kept in the same place for years. To make matters worse, she couldn't remember how they ended up in these strange locations. This kind of behavior is more than just the occasional absent-mindedness that happens as we age. It is a common symptom of dementia. The brain's ability to connect actions to memories begins to fail, and as a result, individuals start misplacing items without understanding how or why it happened. It is as though the brain is no longer able to establish a connection between the action, placing an item down, and where it was placed, leading to confusion about the whereabouts of everyday objects. If you or someone you know is experiencing this issue frequently, it's important to address it. One of the simplest strategies is to establish regular places for your belongings. For example, always keep your keys, glasses, wallet, and phone in the same spot each day. You could use a small bowl or dish near the door for your keys, or place a tray on the counter for your glasses and wallet. This can help create a sense of structure and routine, which can make it easier to keep track of your items. However, if misplacing items becomes a recurring issue, it's time to consult with a healthcare provider. This may not just be an innocent sign of aging, but could be an early indicator of dementia or another cognitive issue. A doctor can help determine the cause of the memory loss and suggest preventive measures or treatment options. Early intervention is crucial in managing dementia, and the sooner a diagnosis is made, the better the chances of slowing the progression of the disease. By addressing this issue early and taking steps to organize your environment, you can help reduce frustration and confusion for yourself or your loved one. 4. Changes in mood or personality. Another subtle sign of dementia is changes in mood or personality. Has someone you know suddenly become withdrawn, more irritable, or even depressed for no clear reason? A cheerful person may become angry or easily frustrated, and someone who was once outgoing may withdraw from social activities. Joe used to be the life of the party, but lately he's been short-tempered and withdrawn. He's frustrated by the changes happening in his mind, but he doesn't know how to express it. He's become quiet at family gatherings, something that was completely out of character for him. Understanding and patience are key when dealing with loved ones who show signs of personality changes. Encourage open dialogue, but don't pressure them to speak if they're not ready. If the changes seem abrupt or severe, it's time to speak to a healthcare provider to rule out any medical conditions like dementia. 5. Difficulty with everyday tasks. Another sign is difficulty with tasks you've always done easily. Maybe you're finding it harder to cook your favorite meal or struggling to balance your checkbook when it used to be second nature. Dementia doesn't just affect memory, it also interferes with your ability to complete everyday tasks. Carol, who used to love cooking, now struggles to follow even simple recipes. She forgets basic steps and feels overwhelmed by what used to be familiar tasks. This decline in the ability to complete daily activities is a major sign that something might be going wrong in the brain. Break tasks into smaller steps and set reminders. It's important to stay active and engage in activities that promote brain health, but above all, seeking a professional assessment is essential. 6. Withdrawal from social activities. Finally, withdrawal from social activities is a critical sign. Has someone you know suddenly started avoiding friends or family gatherings? People with dementia often isolate themselves, either because they feel confused or ashamed of their symptoms. Carol has started turning down invitations to her book club and refuses phone calls from her old friends. It's not just about being tired or busy, it's a deeper feeling of disconnect. People with dementia may feel overwhelmed by social interactions and, as a result, withdraw from activities they once enjoyed. Encourage light social activities and offer support to keep them involved. Gently involve them in social settings without pushing them too hard. If the withdrawal continues, it's crucial to consult a doctor for further evaluation. Stay with me until the end because the last sign might just be the most concerning one. But first, let's take a quick break. If you're still watching, comment number 4 below. Let us know if you've noticed any of these signs in yourself or someone you love. Now that you know the 6 silent signs of dementia, remember that early detection is key. If you've noticed any of these symptoms, it's time to take action. Speak with your doctor to ensure you or your loved ones stay as healthy and happy as possible. Try adjusting your daily routine by practicing some of the solutions we've discussed today and see how it can help reduce risks. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with anyone who might benefit. You can make a difference in their lives. Before you go, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you or a loved one experienced any of these signs? Let's start a conversation in the comments below. Your story could help others.